are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports War. And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Report. I am your host, Brian Barnaby. And let's just say the boys are back in town.
She got away, know what I say? She can't joke, she don't know what to do.
She's gotta go. Bye. I know that you love this flow. We just chillin', we just villains. We just chillin', we some villains.
I leveled up, get the ammo and I stuck it up. I grab shots on the top of shots, I bust the clip and I let it dip. I make it poop, make it explode. Touch your toes, hit your nose. Can you touch your toes?
We are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. I am your host, Brian Barnaby. I got Grasso back here. What's going on, bro?
What's up, Barnes? How you doing?
Good to have you back.
Good to be
You ready to talk some weather, some stocks, right?
Some stocks, some weather,
Yeah. Very
stuff,
diverse episode.
Maybe
today.
a little tennis.
Oh yeah. We got to get the tennis in there, some soccer. Of course, the return of Hello.
Hola Mundo.
And joining us via FaceTime, Gino.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Pretty good. The Yankees didn't play, so I'm not in a bad mood today.
Yeah, right. I know. It's great. It's always great when the Yankees don't play.
Still buzzing off that Bucks victory, huh?
Yeah. We'll get into that. And of course, it's playoff time, so we'll start in the world of the National Basketball Association.
The Bulls go! LeBron James at the buzzer! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
So last night, we have the Hawks 103-100 over the Sixers, pulling the upset and tying the series up at 2 apiece. Trae Young, 25 points, 18 assists, but struggled with efficiency, 8 of 26 from the field, 3 from 11 for 3-point. And then he did get some help. Bogdanovich did have 22 and double-doubles for both Capella and Collins. And this was a big comeback. They were down by 18 points, and they just outscored the Sixers by 16 in the second half. And as you know, Grasso, the whole thing this came down to is Embiid. He just was not right, and I believe he was 0 for 12 in the second half.
Yeah. The second half was ugly for the entire Sixers team, but Philly definitely. I mean, Embiid was just going out there trying to get fouled and playing frustrated and just yelling at the refs and kind of getting bullied by the Hawks, which is a little embarrassing for him. But you could definitely tell like something's going on. His knees maybe a little tight. He might not have as much confidence in it, but when Embiid goes down like that and he's not getting the shots, like someone else has to step up. I mean, Tobias Harris and Curry, they scored in the first half, but they were ghosts in the second half. And then, Ben Simmons is running away from the ball instead of to it. That's not really what the point guard's supposed to do. So if Embiid's not right, this team's in serious trouble.
It is just crazy how just one game, the whole feel of the series, just changes because you're obviously going to be concerned about Embiid. And even though he had struggled, 4 of 20 yesterday, were you expecting that layup to fall at the end?
Yeah, it was a wide open layup. I mean, how do you miss it? I mean, I know I don't know if he jumped off the bad knee or if he kind of just didn't go up like he had envisioned himself going up. Like they call it a flat tire or whatever, like on a fast break when someone falls instead of making a layup. I don't know, something like that happened, but you got to make the layup, man.
And before we get to Gino here, how about, they lose by 3 and Ben Simmons goes 1 of 5 from the free throw line?
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't even be on the court in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, completely embarrassing, especially for a former number 1 overall pick. But we'll bring in Gino here. Thoughts on this result?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us were surprised at how well Embiid was playing on what was said to be a torn meniscus. And I think we're now maybe starting to see he got a little bit of rest and now, have to play consistently again here, maybe hurting him and he may be feeling the effects of that a little bit more now. This team is, they live and die by him a lot, I feel like. So, if he's not right, it's going to be a hard series because this Hawks team, I think, has proven now that they're a pretty good, pretty solid team. So they definitely have talent. Should they be beating the Sixers? Probably not. The Sixers team has more talent on paper. But again, a hurt Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons going 1 from 5 from the free throw line. Fourth quarter performances. That's not the recipe to win games. And, the Hawks are, staying in this series. It's 2-2. And, I think a lot of us are surprised. But, when you look at the numbers, I think it makes sense as to why it's a 2-2 series.
What were your thoughts on this, Mike?
Yeah, it's just tough. Joel went down, when he did. Because if he was full strength, we know this would be a whole different series. But Atlanta is a good team, and we'll see what happens when they go back to Philly. I think if Joel Embiid could get right, they'll get out of here, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and even with Embiid banged up and only 1 day off, my thoughts have changed here. I thought it was going to actually end up being a gentleman's sweep. Now I'm thinking it's probably going to go 7, but just because they're at home and you would expect the guys around Embiid to play better, I would expect them to at least be able to win game 5, but going back to Atlanta game 6, might be a tough spot. And of course, it's all dependent on Joel Embiid. He's been their best player all season.
Yeah, and I'm nervous too, because when you watch this game, if you watch the fourth quarter alone, the Hawks players, they were going after the ball and trying to get the ball. Like Trae Young wanted the ball in his hand when the game's in the line. Same with Bogdanovich and even John Collins. The Sixers were the complete opposite. Their guys are running away from the ball when the game's on the line, and that's just not a good look when you're a number 1 seed.
Yeah. It's just really, really surprising. And, Curry gave it a go there at the end, double clutching like he was me shooting a 3-pointer in 8th grade and hits back rim, unfortunately for him. He did have a good game, though. He's been solid all series. But it's just like, he's a guy that has to be your strong role player. He can't be like, your number 2 or really even number 3 on a team that's supposed to contend for a title.
Ben Simmons has to be the number 2 guy on this team. So when Embiid's struggling, Embiid's got to score 25, 30 with like a triple-double style game, still be that. But he's proven time after time again that's just not him.
But with Simmons, honestly, do you think that he lacks confidence within himself? Is that the reason for this?
I think he's scared to shoot. I think he thinks he's so good at everything else that he doesn't have to shoot. I think he's kind of cocky. And I kind of just think he's not that good offensively.
I am shocked, honestly, though, the way he's playing. Like, I just figure, listen, like he's not an offensive, that's not his number 1 thing. But at the same time, it seems like he should be able to easily average at the low end 15 points a game. And it's like, that seems like it's a struggle. And it's just like in an era where everybody's popping threes and, everyone's all about shooting. It's so weird to see someone, especially a former number 1 overall pick, play like this.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned this yesterday. How are you a professional basketball player and you can't make a free throw?
Yeah,
they call it free for a reason.
Like I like my odds going straight up with him. Best in 10.
I would destroy him. I'll put $1,000 on it. Yeah,
I'm not even kidding. It's just like and you could say, oh, the crowd, this and that. Come on.
Yeah, enough. You're a professional.
So like I said, series will resume with game 5 tomorrow at the Wells Fargo Center, 7:30 TNT. So be interesting to see, how the Sixers respond here. And then the other game from last night, we did have the Clippers 118-104 over the Jazz. And once again, they're back from the dead after being in an 0-2 hole. And Kawhi, like I had said, did have a big game. I didn't expect them to win, but the reason that they did, Paul George, 31 points, 9 rebounds. But even bigger than that, when you're getting 24 from Morris, 5 of 6 from 3, and then 15 made 3-pointers as a team at 40%. That's why they led by 24 points at halftime. So Clippers are right back in this series.
Yeah, I think that's what we talked about in the regular season. The Clippers were the best shooting 3-point team in the league, and they're going to need to make threes in the playoffs to win. But I think the star power is just in the Clippers court in this series. Like Donovan Mitchell is great, superstar in the making, but Kawhi already is a superstar. Paul George is definitely the 3rd best player in this series. And if those 2 guys are playing good, the Clippers they're tough to beat.
And I'm going to take a little Mystic credit here because if we roll back the tape, I said for the Clippers to win, they need 60 from Kawhi and George, and they scored 62. So
Mystic Bobs.
just a little food for thought there. Gino, what was your thoughts?
Our boy Rudy really coming out to play today. 11 points and 8 rebounds. That's really helpful, I'm sure, for the Jazz. But yeah, I mean, from a 3-point shooting perspective, even when you look at the stats, though, I mean, both these teams shot the 3-pointer exactly the same. They're both 40.5% from the 3-point line. It's just like you said, the star power. Paul George and Kawhi can just take over a game, and when you have more than one option, as we've seen with some other teams, it's Donovan Mitchell can't be the only guy, and he had 37, and nobody else really helped out. You have Joe Ingles with 19, Bogdanovich with 18, but you don't have that other scorer, that consistent scorer that can go out there and get you 20, 25 points. And that's what the Clippers have in both Kawhi and Paul George on a normal basis. Of course, PG-13 has had his problems. But again, you're also getting 24 from Marcus Morris. So, I think the Jazz. Go ahead, Mike.
That's just saying that was huge.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the Jazz will bounce back, but they're going to need more points. Jordan Clarkson off the bench can't be having 8 points either. Derek Favors had 2 points. Like, they're not getting contributions from everywhere else. And if they want to win this series, they're going to have to get more contributions from people not named Donovan Mitchell.
I thought Derek Favors retired.
I mean, he should after he got banged on last night.
I think it happened more than once.
I have to give Mystic Mike some credit here. All along, he said this was a 7-game series, so I guess you really weren't surprised by this result at all, right, Mike?
Honestly, I mean, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on. Can't get fooled again. But no, seriously, I don't buy it. Clippers, I'm getting them in 7. I honestly still am holding it. Philly Sixers in the finals.
All right. Interesting to see. And also, just one other thing, we didn't really talk too much about the Jazz in terms of, besides that, their role players didn't do good. I mean, you look at Mitchell, I mean, he had 37 points, but with efficiency, I mean, 9 and 26, I mean, that's a lot of wasted shots.
Yeah, he didn't. It was kind of like Durant the other night. Like, the numbers are there, but there's too much responsibility on him. He's taking too many tough shots, and there's no other options. I think, one thing we didn't mention here, the Jazz are without Mike Conley. Mike Conley's a really good player, but what that also does is it puts Joe Ingles to the second unit, and Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson together in the second unit, that beats pretty much every other second unit in basketball. Definitely the Clippers. So they are missing Mike Conley. I don't know how much that's going to change the series, but it'll definitely play a big part.
I think that was a big part of them getting the number 1 seed, winning a lot of these games. And strong, second unit is everything. So, it'll be interesting to see, how this series resumes. Tomorrow, we'll have game 5 back in Utah, 10 o'clock TNT. So, any chance Gobert scores more than 11 next game? Or you think less?
It's tough. And you would think against the Clippers he would. I mean, Zubac's the only big guy they have. Right. He doesn't even play that much.
Maybe Patty Patterson?
Shut him down. Gobert's gonna have a solid 9 and 11.
Yeah. I mean, that's about right on point.
Maybe Clarkson will have a little bounce back game though. Give you 22.
And switching gears here to my favorite series of the playoffs, and it's nice to have the 3 of you here. Because,
it's all right. James Harden's coming back, and we're winning it.
They already said he was out.
No, he's
doubtful for tonight.
Yeah.
No. He really when?
This morning it came
out.
out.
I got something else.
No, yeah. Wojnarowski said he's doubtful for tonight, and he's doing everything he can to play.
They said he had to run through
42 minutes ago. Harden expected to test hamstring Tuesday.
They said he has to run through like a bunch of full contact drills.
Yeah. It's
Don't be
unlikely.
surprised. I don't know. You're about to see Willis Reed, baby.
It's very, very unlikely. So we will get Bucks and Nets, 8:30 TNT. Of course, series tied up at 2 apiece to the surprise of all of you guys. Giannis has been doing his thing. Of course, these injuries, play a huge part, without Harden and with Kyrie going down in the middle of last game. But at the same time, I mean, the Bucks, they just play who's on the court. It's that they don't control the injuries on the other team. So I think it's impressive what they've done, and I think they're in the driver's seat here, and I think they're a lot better team than the Nets are when they just have Kevin Durant. I just the supporting cast is not there. Mike James is not going to get it done. Blake Griffin, you know what I mean? Like his 8 points the last couple of games, that's not doing it for me. So I think the Nets are in trouble.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, Barnes. I mean, if you told me going into this series that Harden and Kyrie Irving weren't going to be around for half the series, then I would have told you the Bucks were going to win. They don't have enough around Durant. Durant, he's a good playmaker, but he's not Harden. He's not a point guard. He's trying to get his own buckets. And when your second options, like Joe Harris, Blake Griffin, you're going to be in trouble. But I mean, I am interested to see now that they're going into this game knowing there's no Kyrie, knowing there's no James Harden, it's just Durant and company. The game plan is going to be different. So how do they get Joe Harris these open shots? How do they get other guys like Mike James, Blake Griffin? How do they get them going? So it's on Steve Nash, I think, tonight. Like, what game plan is he going to have? Because
I know
we can't just leave it all on Durant, because the guy that you didn't mention yesterday, and I agreed with everything you said about the Bucks yesterday, but the last 2 games of this series, PJ Tucker has been an absolute animal. Maybe the best 2 games of his career. Because I've never seen anyone give Kevin Durant as much trouble as he has.
Which is very shocking.
Yeah, not to mention he's hit threes on the offensive side of the ball too, and he's doing his thing.
He did have a lot of practice guarding Harden in practice these past 8 years. So
yeah. I mean, and he did have some big games for the Rockets in the playoffs.
Yeah, he did.
The last couple of years.
I love PJ Tucker and his shoe game.
And it was funny. We'll get to the market in a little bit, but I was watching CNBC this morning. The Squawk Box Barclays Center, owner of the Nets, Joe Sivtai, I think it's pronounced, but they were doing a one-on-one interview with him, and I just thought it was interesting, getting a different perspective, kind of, just thought it was cool. But just thought I would mention that.
Thanks, Barnes. Appreciate it.
But Gino, just one thing before you go.
Oh, yeah.
Any changing sentiments at all, with Giannis, the way he's played up to this point? Or do you think he's even worse now because the series is tied 2-2?
I think I think he's in a worse situation, as in the fact that if he doesn't win this series, that's a serious issue. No. I mean, that's what we're all saying, right? The Bucks should win this series now if Kyrie and Harden shouldn't come back. And Barnes, you come at me on yesterday's episode saying I'm a man of my word. If the Bucks win this series, I will stop making fun of Giannis. But no, yeah, I mean it's
job's not done, as Kobe would say.
Yeah,
they have to win this series now if Harden and Kyrie don't come back, because like you said, Grasso, they don't have the supporting cast that the Bucks have around Giannis, around Durant. This team is not good without at least 2 of those guys on the court, or not as good as everybody perceives them to be. So I think that Giannis should win the series, and I will stop talking about him if he does. But if he doesn't win the series, that's a serious issue. No, like they should, if those 2 don't come back, or one of those 2 don't come back, there's no excuse for them not winning this series, I think. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I feel like that's how it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're in the driver's seat.
Unless Durant scores 6 in the next 2 games and does something out of the world. But
that'd be awesome.
One thing about Giannis before you get to Mike, I think one thing that's helped him these past 2 games is the defense, and the fact the Bucks are getting stops and they're actually playing more in transition and playing at a faster pace, because that works to Giannis's advantage. It's the half court thing that Giannis kind of struggles with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, getting good team play. Sorry, Gino, what were you going to say?
No, I would just also, I know I tweeted this the other day, but we talked about how Giannis has to use his force to get into the paint. And obviously he has done that. 11, I think the last game, 11 of his 14 made free throw or field goals were within the restricted area, which again, I said, it's good and bad, because you want him to make those mid-range jumpers, because the defense is going to eventually adjust to that, because I just don't think the Nets have a good enough big man to defend him inside the paint or whatever, or defend him and keep him out of the paint. But you do want to see that improve. But again, if he's dropping 37 and they win this series, then again, I will stop talking about Giannis and he will have, I'm done.
What do you got, Mystic?
Yeah, I'm with Gino with what he said about the whole Giannis thing, but I have the Nets winning this still.
But winning tonight or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, specifically tonight and carrying the momentum over.
And I was listening to JT the Brick at Night on Mad Dog Radio last night, and he was talking a lot about. I don't know what your guys' thoughts on this are. With Kyrie, I mean that was kind of a freak injury, but specifically Harden, who missed a lot of time this season. Do you guys think that them not taking the regular season seriously plays into them with these injuries? Or specifically Harden, because I know, like I said, Kyrie was kind of a freak injury, but
I think Harden was actually hurt. Like I don't think Harden was the guy that didn't take the season serious. I think maybe Durant skipped some games, maybe Kyrie skipped some games, but Harden, if he was healthy, was out there.
But you don't think like him dogging it earlier in the year in Houston, so he wasn't as good of shape, ended up resulting in the first hamstring injury, which resulted in the second hamstring injury?
No, I don't think so, because Harden's never been like that fit. Like he's never been in great shape. But he was in good shape by the time his hamstring was actually injured when he was in Brooklyn. I don't think it plays.
He's always had his baby fat.
What do you think about that, Gino?
I mean, I see what the point is. I can understand it. I know what Gross was saying with the fact that he's never really been in good shape, which is true, but you never know. I mean, just working yourself up. I feel like, we saw a drastic change from where he was in Houston to where he was in Brooklyn, like the first couple games in terms of just kind of being physically fit. And maybe that plays into it, just kind of ramping it up quickly instead of ramping it up at a slower pace in the preseason and whatnot. I think that also plays into it too, is the fact that we didn't have much of a preseason. There wasn't much of a ramping up time. It was kind of not many teams got a chance to go out there. So that's why I think we're seeing a lot of these injuries, is because there wasn't much of a build up to the season. It was like 1 month and then go. And that, no summer league, no this, no that. So I think, that probably plays into it as well. But I can understand, I'd say maybe a little bit, but I don't think 100% it plays into it. But I could see a little bit maybe being the reason why maybe he's had some of the issues that he's had. But again, no preseason doesn't help.
And to what Gino said, I think injuries across the league have been up pretty significantly this year.
Right.
So definitely, short off season, faster, not as much rest during the season. It's definitely taking a toll on these guys.
Yeah, and we'll see a big recovery with that this off season, and then the following season will finally be that normal thing that we haven't seen in a couple of years. So looking forward to that. And, on to our picks. And, Mike, you had said you got the Nets tonight. Gino, what are you thinking?
This is my I think we're going 7, but I think the Bucks win tonight. I think Harden comes back game 6 and the Nets win game 6, and then we go to game 7. That's what I'm
game
saying.
7 at Barclays. Are we going?
Oh my God. That'd be sick.
Quick drive.
It is.
What do you got?
I'm actually going to go with Brooklyn tonight. I think game plan wise, they're going to have something a little better. I think Durant's going to have a nice night. I think the series is going to go 7, but you talked about it yesterday about, superstars need to hit their free throws. Giannis can't make a free throw either. So that could hurt him in a close game. And I think Brooklyn's going to win it tonight.
So you are right.
Durant and Nash.
You are right. That could hurt him in a close game, but the thing is, it's not going to be a close game. I think, honestly, the Nets are going to get hammered by 25 because they just don't have a team outside of Durant. So you heard it here, and I think this is actually going to be a 6-game series because I think the Bucks are going to take care of business, and there's going to finally be the respect that Giannis deserves. And hey, I want to call it poetic justice.
Can I ask you something, though, Barnes? Just one last thing on this. So, we talked about Dame, right? Remember when we talked about the Blazers and we said that Dame wasn't a winner even though he went to the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago or whatever. Is this Bucks team a winning team if they just get to the Eastern Conference Finals? Or do you feel like they have to get to – are you not considering them a winner or Giannis a winner until they get to the finals or win a finals?
So, I mean, we've seen with teams over the years, it's about growth. So they haven't been to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think that could be a big stepping stone. And then you also look at it with Dame. I mean, what is he, 4 years older than Giannis, 5 years older? So they've been at this a lot longer. So I think that's the difference here. So definitely, if they advance to the next round, I think that's a big step forward. But with Embiid banged up, I mean, I think they're in the driver's seat to be in the NBA Finals and face the Phoenix Suns.
No, that's true.
So
I would agree.
And then
the Clippers.
just before we switch gears, here's real quick. This came out yesterday. I guess they are going to do away with the whole jump into the defender with the 3-point shot on an unnatural motion. I'm all for this. I don't know what you guys think.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Stupid.
It creates injuries.
Yeah, and it's just absolutely insane. It's not a shot. Like if you're shooting, that's one thing. But if you're just literally just running into somebody, I mean, this isn't rugby.
Yeah, and I've noticed that this playoffs, like they haven't really been calling it nearly as much.
Yeah,
and guys are getting pissed.
Wonder if Curry's points per game are going to go down a little bit.
I know Trae Young's are.
Trae Young's definitely are.
Yeah,
that's all he does.
So I think that's a good thing that they're doing. So hopefully that is in play for next season. But we are going to take a quick break and get Tony on for some Major League Baseball.
We just chillin', we just chillin', we just villains. We just chillin', we just chillin', we some villains.
I leveled up, get the ammo and I stuck it up. I grab a shot on the top of shots. I bust the clip and I let it dip. I make it poop, make it explode. Touch your toes, hit your nose. Can you touch your toes? Simon telling you what to do. Follow my commando, hit in the bando, tap in the bando, not like a Rambo. Rocky, Sylvester, Solo. I'm telling you.
And Tony is in the building, ready to talk some baseball.
Yes,
what's
baby.
up, man?
Good. Hanging out, having a good time. How are you doing?
Like I said, the Yankees didn't lose yesterday.
Exactly.
So I don't feel too bad.
With that Tito's house, you're ready to party, dude.
In a little bit. But of course, as you see, we are at Citi Field, so we will start in the world of Major League Baseball.
Giving chases Judge, and he dives into the stand.
DeGrom begins the season with an overpowering strikeout of Ronald Acuna.
The wall is gone! 3-run home run!
What's going on here? I love it.
He drives one to the moon! High, deep, and very gone!
All right. So, being that the Yankees were off yesterday, we will do a little switch up here and start with the Mets.
Surprise.
Give Tony his due. And I had to say that this one surprised me for many reasons. And we were talking about, an over-under of runs scored at 20.5. We got 7 total runs here. David Peterson in a 5-2 Mets win goes 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. Pitches were in the mid-70s. They yank him. Trevor May, how are you? But in the end, Mets get the victory. In a little mystic Tony, you mentioned about Dom Smith going deep, 2 for 3.
Which he did.
Hits his 5th homer. And then to top it all off, we saw the return of Seattle Diaz. 1 inning, 3 Ks, picks up his 13th save. I mean, what else could you ask for?
Honestly, nothing else, bro. I mean, Peterson, long overdue or what, dude? It was very impressive to see him go 6 innings for first time in his MLB career. We also saw his fastest
That's
fastball
impressive,
recorded at 96 miles an hour. So he was throwing some gas and I think he made some good adjustments. Maybe he's been talking to Stroman lately. I don't know, but we kind of saw him maybe pitching more for contact last night. And it was really impressive. He gives up 1 hit to Eric Sogard, ends up picking him off at second base, so he just seemed really dialed in and focused. And, we heard Rojas in his previous starts, which were absolute terrible starts. But he was talking about how Peterson was trying to make adjustments and, he felt like that he was moving in the right direction. And I think finally we're starting to see some results from him.
Yeah. I was thoroughly impressed. Did you agree with the decision to pull him after the 6th?
I did, actually. I thought that was a really good decision on Rojas's part, which is nice to see him make a good decision right now. So, but with Peterson, you're not exactly sure his longevity yet. I think he had 74 pitches, which isn't a lot, but especially with how hot the Cubs' bats have been, is great. And, I mean, you get Brandon Drury pinch hits for him. He gets an RBI single. So good decision there. Unfortunately, we saw what happened to Trevor May.
Are you souring on May now?
I don't think so. I think what was nice to see from him was that he's making adjustments in terms of what he's throwing. We saw early in the season he was relying heavily on his changeup, which was working at first. But, I mean, as many MLB players do, they adjust, right? So batters started keying on that changeup, and we kind of saw May rely more on his slider and his fastball, which is good to kind of keep the batters guessing. However, his execution was just not there. I mean, he, left a fastball on the barrel of Rizzo's bat. He took him deep, and then he left another hanging slider over the middle of the plate. So, like I said, we kind of make him, it seems like he is making an adjustment. It's just a matter of his execution at this point.
Absolutely. Gino, were you surprised that the Mets were able to win this one, and that there was only 7 runs scored when you got Jake Arrieta and David Peterson matching up?
Honestly, a little bit surprised that there weren't more runs, but this Mets team has been good, man. I mean, they are just taking every challenge and just going the next step, and not worrying about adversity or injuries or, oh man, this guy's not playing today or this guy's not. They've been playing really well and kind of just stepped up, and the bench players have stepped up. Even some AAA guys have stepped up. So. I'm not surprised that the Mets won this one. I am a little surprised at how well Peterson pitched, and how low the scoring was. But this team is starting to get players back, and they're starting to get, they're starting to get a little bit of run here. And I think once you get through June here, we have to seriously start talking about the Mets once they start getting people back, and seriously start talking about them as one of the better teams in the NL if this continues. So. The Cubs are good competition, and they beat them well, or they beat them by 3 runs and held them only to 2. They beat the Padres. What have you guys? What's it? 4 out of the 7 you guys played the Padres this year. So, because you split 2-2, and yeah. So I mean, beating good National League teams, and that's you can't really ask much more from this team. So.
I was surprised that McKinney didn't get into one last night, though.
I know, right?
Lefty, I know you righty. And I looked before the game. Since he joined the Mets, he's hitting 290. I mean, he's really really. Dude. And he was hitting 202 with the Brewers before he came over.
Really, 202?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's just Mets atmosphere. It's New York, dude.
Yeah. No, I have to say, I've been hard on the Mets at times this season, but. Got to give it to you. I mean, there's nothing bad I could say. And this is the resilience that we saw to the Yankees in 2019 when they had all those injuries. Really, really reminds me of that.
Yeah, of course. You always got to kind of bring it back to the Yankees part.
But I really say that. The parallelism.
No, yes, you're definitely. I think you're kind of right there. I guess.
I think it'll just be interesting to see kind of down the stretch if we ever see Carrasco if. Maybe Syndergaard out of the pen. How is there's still no new news on them?
I think Carrasco, they reported late July expecting to return. Syndergaard, I think, is August at this point, mid-August. Yeah.
And I would think if it's going to be August and he has to ramp up, that, like we said, that maybe they'll do a bullpen thing with him.
Dude, let's go.
But because we've seen these guys that are starters, and if the Mets can get on like a postseason run, play crucial parts in the postseason as relievers. So really could work to their advantage.
Oh, absolutely. Especially, if Trevor May doesn't really, pan out very well so far, or, I mean, even so, dude, just having him in the bullpen is just a huge weapon.
And if Carrasco's right, I mean, that's a pretty strong playoff rotation.
Oh, yeah.
With Walker, with DeGrom, with Stroman, and then him as your 4, and then, pretty solid bullpen.
Yeah,
but,
and, Casey's been kind of coming along as well. So, yeah, dude.
Yeah. Any news on Betances?
I was actually just looking up the injuries. I think he's in AAA right now.
Oh, so I mean, sooner.
I could be wrong there. What, Gino?
No, nothing. I was just saying, he's in AAA.
Oh,
that's great.
Oh,
I mean, it's kind of sad, but I mean, this might be like the last shot of his career.
I would say so. I mean,
like if he comes back and then it's IL, like right away.
Oh, if
again.
he's injured again,
I mean,
yeah. How old is he? 30.
So Betances 80, 34. 34, which is crazy. Got a late start to the career. So really wish him well, and I hope he becomes a part of this team, even if it's low leverage situations, just something.
Right. I know he has a soft spot in your heart.
Clearly.
Hey, we haven't talked about him in a while.
I know.
We're on a high pace at the beginning of the season. So we will get another game tonight. Of course, Cubs at Mets, 7:10 SNY at Citi Field. We get Alec Mills versus Tawan Walker. What are your expectations for tonight coming off the win yesterday?
I think Walker should have a good start. I mean, we've seen him have like maybe some periodic control issues, but nothing crazy. I mean, he's still, he's one of the best starters in the NL. He has like a 1.32 ERA his last 6 starts. So, he should throw well. And of course, I think our bats should kind of key on Alec Mills. I think he's coming off the IL with a back issue. I think he spent the bulk of his year so far in the bullpen. Hasn't really gotten money starts. So, we'll see what kind of happens, but, you never know. I guess he could have a good outing, but I would expect him to, especially with the way the Mets have been so confident at the plate. I don't see, why we should get runs in.
Yeah. And I would expect too, after pretty much a dud on offense yesterday, that the Cubs, should be able to put some more runs, on the board. So this might possibly come down to the bullpen. And
right.
You might have to use Familia in a spot after May. You're not going to use May.
No, you're not going to use May. You could use Diaz again, I guess.
Yeah, but back to back.
I know it's kind of tough.
And then if he was facing the heart of the order, that's a tough spot.
We would probably bring in Lugo at first, I would imagine, and I believe we brought up Reed Foley again, if I'm not mistaken.
He's on the Syracuse shuttle this season.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So
you
got options, maybe some mixing and matching. And then my final question before we switch gears here. Can the fans at Citi Field tonight match that beer snake that we saw at Wrigley Field Sunday Night Baseball?
Honestly, I don't think so. It's funny. I've been telling Mike for probably the better part of a week now how great the Cubs fan base is. Better part of a week, dude. You know what that means, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to see. I don't know. Although one time I was at a Met game, they gave out DeGrom T-shirts. And one guy, it was terrible. I think we were down like 7-0 by the 6th inning or something. And one guy decided somehow got like everyone around him to give him their T-shirts, and he put them all on. Wow. He was like this.
Cool.
In the stands, dude.
It's not as cool as
No, it's pretty fucking cool, dude.
It wasn't as cool.
Though, with increased capacity around the corner, we might see one of these beer snakes as we get further into the summer.
I think I want to say the last game at Citi, they had like 30,000, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're really getting.
I think max capacity is like 45.
Yeah. Just
so
about.
I don't know if they're at like, I don't know if they're at full capacity, it's just like let them all in or something. Because what is that, like 85% capacity, 30,000, right? Whatever percentage it is. So, yeah.
And one other thought, I just happened to think about this. The last time I noticed this when I was at Citi Field, I feel like it's an imposter Shake Shack. I feel like it's not the same as like the one here in Westport, the one in Darien. It doesn't taste as good. It doesn't have the same
What are
bite.
you talking about, Bards? Get out of town, God. You kidding me? An imposter Shake Shack? Westport? Oh.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I thought the burger was a little, flat.
I think you're a little flat, buddy.
So just a little food for thought. I guess you could say. So switching gears, we do have the Yankees returning to the tonight.
Don't sound so sad about it.
At the Blue Jays in Buffalo, 7:07 on Yes tonight, and we're gonna get Jordan Montgomery versus Hyun-Jin Ryu. This is a very, very important series for the Yankees. And I think, some people, especially I noticed this on Twitter, and I had tagged you guys in this yesterday, some guys talking about how it would be a good idea to trade Judge for a big haul of prospects. And I was just, I can't take something like that seriously. But other than that, we've seen a lot of comments about, over the next 20 to 25 games, Talking Yanks was talking about it, that if they don't perform well, they should consider selling. I just think, it's definitely, we're at a very bad point right now, but that type of talk is just completely insane. So that being said, I mean, I do think this is a very crucial part, but I think they're gonna finally respond. I just think there's too much ability there to just, I don't know, go 70 and 92 this season. It's just not going to happen. And we've seen Jordan Montgomery step up in big spots. He had that big start against the Rays last month. So I think he's going to set the tone early and keeping the Jays hitters off balance by changing speeds. He doesn't have the high velocity, but he has good movement. And I think it's going to be key hitting corners because these guys are all good fastball hitters. We know how far they can hit it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the key to this game. And of course, the Yankee offense, which has not been consistent at all this season. And you got Ryu, who won both of his starts, against the Yankees this season. 12 innings pitched, 3 earned, 8 hits, 1 walk, 12 Ks. So a guy with, I think his fastball is very low 90s, almost like 89. But, good movement, good command. So it's like, just sit back on it, just wait. And I think, honestly, that's been a big part to why the Yankees haven't scored a lot, especially early. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen LeMahieu swing at the first pitch and ground to second. I think that's happened 40% of his at-bats this season.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think they lead the league in hitting into double play. Right?
Yeah, they definitely lead the league in that category and making outs on the bases, which are great tools for losing baseball. So I mean, it's now, it's never. And I also think Monty's due for a gem. He's had 3 earned runs or more in 5 of his last 6 starts. So, I think he's a pretty good pitcher. And I know this is a tough spot on the road in Buffalo, but I think he gets the job done. And I feel good about just finally turning the corner. Gino, what's your kind of thoughts, going into this series?
Not good. Don't feel great. I mean, you saw how good the Jays offense was the past couple days, right? Obviously Vladdy just bombing one over Fenway. Their offense is great. And honestly, the pitching, which we were relying on in the beginning of the season, hasn't been phenomenal lately. So normally not a good recipe on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, still the same problems that we've had for the entire season. So it's, fixing those issues and trying to figure that out. With swinging at the first pitch, that's something the Yankees haven't done in, it feels like that's not their approach normally. It feels like the last few years, their approach has been to sit back and wait on pitches and make pitchers work, and swinging at the first pitch seems to be the opposite of that. So it seems like things have changed there a little bit. The team is, I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence in this team. I was listening to you guys yesterday, and I still think trading for Ketel Marte would probably be something that would be a good idea. I know we hit home runs last week, but this is too much power. It's like you look at guys like Rob Refsnyder and Tyro Estrada, right? And they're now hitting, Tyro Estrada's hitting like 387 in AAA. Refsnyder's hitting 300. I've listened to the Yankees broadcast on the radio a couple times, and they've said this a couple times. The Yankees wanted those type of guys to change their launch angle and go for more power and go for more of the home runs and whatever. And it just was never going to work for them because they just didn't have the power to get it out. So they were hitting 200 and doing whatever, and they weren't good enough. And now they go, and apparently in Minnesota, Rob Refsnyder has said that, his hitting coach there has completely changed it back to what it was before the launch angle stuff. So it's clearly affecting some of these hitters that are typically not power hitters. And it's something that you could probably see with DJ LeMahieu in the sense that he's been more of a contact guy, and they've gotten his swing now to be more launch angle focused, and it's just not working. So I don't have faith in this lineup a lot, but it's got to, like you said, it's got to turn around now, or it's not going to turn around at all, or it's not going to, be enough. So these are important games. This is, you're going to need, you have here, Barnes, you're going to need 5 runs, I think, at least. But do you have faith that they're going to do that? I'm not sure I do. So that's where I'm at.
Yes and yes. And, on yes, of course, the game. But the whole thing is, and like what you said about LeMahieu, I don't really think it is launch angle because it's like, he hit a lot of home runs his last full season.
Yeah.
He hit great. He just has had a tough start, and I think he can find his way out of it. And like I was saying, I think a big part has just been patience and not waiting for his pitches. And we've seen some signs, like obviously the numbers are still way off from what we're expecting, but I think he's going to get there. And then you also look at, Stanton has been pretty hot. I mean, he didn't get to really play in Philadelphia because, no DH, and Judge has been solid all season. So you mix that with LeMahieu bouncing back as well as Gleyber Torres. And I kind of think it doesn't matter what the rest of the lineup does. If those guys are right, you could score a lot of runs. And I just envision right now, especially in Buffalo, a AAA field, with shorter dimensions, I see Stanton and Judge going deep tonight. And we haven't said this in a while, but that is the lock of the night. Yankees, decisive victors over the Blue Jays. Call it 7-2. Call it a quality start for Jordan Montgomery. And I think just to get some confidence back, I think they rolled Chapman out there in the ninth in a non-safe situation. Just get him comfortable because we might need him the next, one of the next two games of the series, and just get that confidence back. It just, after such a great start, that was just a complete implosion in Minnesota. And I think, like I said, just in general with this team, it's now or never, and I think now is the time, and they're too talented to waste this season, and I'm confident that this is finally the time.
I mean, it sounds good, Barnes, but I don't know. I think it's going to take more than just 3 or 4 batters in the lineup. I mean, you look at Toronto, and they have 4 or 5 guys that are phenomenal hitters, especially now, and I mean, it could happen. I think the key for the Yankees would have to get Ryu out of there pretty quickly. I mean, he's been pretty sharp lately, and we see Toronto's bullpen not being very consistent. They just lost a game last night for them against the Red Sox. So, I mean, I think if you want to score runs, I think it's going to be later in the game, and it's going to be against Toronto's bullpen.
But I know he's pretty accurate, but you can't see just because he's like a soft tosser, Stanton or Judge running into one. If he could leave it over the middle.
It could, it's definitely possible, certainly. But I think with the way the Yankees have been at the plate, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's possible, but they just seem like they're going to be swinging hard and they're going to be striking out.
And I guess too, part of my mindset here is, with him, having success in those first 2 starts, fool me once, fool me twice,
right.
Third time. I mean, I just think with a sense of urgency as well, with a day off to reflect, with getting completely embarrassed in Philadelphia, I think it does point to success.
It's certainly set up for the Yankees, but I mean, many games have been this season, so I mean, we'll see how they perform.
Yeah, it would just be nice to just give me a little something. And one other baseball note here, they did announce that the sticky substance Spider X is going to lead to a 10-day ban. I guess this isn't official, but that was a report. I don't know if you saw anything.
I saw the report. However, I didn't see if it was official or not.
I don't think it was from the commissioner's office.
Oh, no?
I saw it on ESPN.com.
Right. Yeah, me too. So, yeah, I mean, which I guess is good. I mean, we should see these pitchers, seeing some type of punishment for having illegal substances. But, I think it's going to be an off-season type of deal where they're going to really start cracking down and kind of approach next season differently at that point. Because I mean, I feel like MLB just kind of fumbled this whole situation with illegal substances and exactly, like many other situations, and to kind of let this escalate to the situation it has so far, it's going to be a tough road ahead, I think, for pitchers especially, obviously, because I mean, we see these pitchers getting away with so much now, and all of a sudden I think we're going to see. I think yesterday we were talking about it. Since they started mentioning how they're going to crack down on the sticky substances across the board in MLB, batting average has gone up by 10 points.
So slugging as well.
Exactly. And I think we're going to see that rise even further as we can kind of see now reports coming out that the MLB are going to start issuing some punishments and 10-game bans and stuff like that. So it should be interesting to see how this affects the rest of the season.
Any thought on this, Gino?
I mean, this, like you said, the batting average gone up. Maybe this is something that helps the Yankees, right? I mean, maybe this will help them get back on track. And So I think that, they're cracking down. It's not just, the spider tack or whatever. It's everything. That I think I saw something saying anything from sunscreen to, a spider tack. It's going to be, so you really can't use anything. So that's going to really change the game. And it'll be interesting to see, how spin rates go down and how pitchers are losing control. Maybe, I'm interested to see kind of what it looks like, right? You would assume that pitchers don't want to take that 10-game ban. I mean, it's, I'm sure they want to play even though they're getting paid for it, whether they're banned or not, because I think they said it's a 10-day ban with pay. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think that this could really change things for a lot of teams and change things for offenses. And, we'll see how the Yankees and many other offenses respond to this, because I think it'll certainly help them out. Yeah, absolutely. And I honestly think I could see very possibly there being no bans, because I think, after seeing what happened to Garrett Cole with Donaldson, players don't want to be at the center of this, and nobody wants to be the first guy suspended. And I think a lot of them too want to prove that I don't need this stuff. I can still be a good pitcher. So I don't know. I kind of think this died sooner than later. I think that it also it probably isn't from those bigger name pitchers. You may get a guy who the bans may come for those guys who are coming up for the minor leagues and want to make a name for themselves and think, oh man, I might be able to get away with this, or I might be able to get away with that. And guys who basically their lives are depending on it, and their careers are depending on it. So you might get it from that. But I agree that I don't think that these guys, like we've said before, if you're an all-star pitcher, it's not just because you're using spider tack, it's not just because you're using some foreign substance. You're good. You're just better with it, so it takes you up, a few places in the rankings with it. So I don't think the bigger name guys will, but maybe we see it from lesser known guys. Yeah, and kind of like what we saw with steroids when it first started. It took years before actually big names were suspended. It was a lot of minor leaguers or guys that just, weren't really that good. So.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure in terms of MLB investigating baseballs, I mean, it'll take some time to see, who was throwing what and using what,
Yeah, absolutely. So hoping that tonight is the start of a good run. The return of the Yankees win, the Mets win. I mean, it is all set up for it. And but before we get to the close here, we do have some, like I said yesterday, some potpourri topics, and Gino is going to have some on soccer. But first, I would just like to kind of cover what I was kind of getting into yesterday, and I have to say, I'm considering a additional career in weather. Okay, so I did break this down yesterday. Tony's talking 70% chance. We got sunny skies. We got a great day of golf ahead. So I just want to say, next time you have a weather question, you know who to ask. So just throwing that out there. And then on the other side of things, and some, I've had bits and pieces, regarding the market, regarding crypto. So just a little food for thought here. Last 2 days, I mean, just a complete tank job across the board. And there's some report about the Fed and inflation coming up tomorrow and all this speculation. And I just say enough. It's too much pump up. It's too much amateur hour, honestly. And if all of our listeners out here, I just want to make this prediction now. If you want to make some money, okay, 2 things you want to invest in. So number one, Bitcoin. Right now, we're under 40,000, and about 6 weeks ago, we were almost at 70,000. And year to date, I mean, it's up thousands of percent. But at this time next year, so we're talking June 15th, 2022, that Bitcoin is going to be worth $100,000. So any type of extra money you have, Bitcoin, number one. Number two, fake report came out today about DraftKings, okay? Plummets pre-market. Oh, when the SPAC came out, there was fraud. Nonsense. We know how obsessed the country is with sports betting, with daily contests. DraftKings, right now, I think it's about 48. Next year, at this time, we're talking $90. 90. So I just want this saved in the archives. I want this rolled back at this time next year. And anybody who follows this advice, you can thank me later. So, that's all I want. And what do you got on football, Gino?
Oh, football. There's a lot of football. So there's two big tournaments going on right now. There's the UEFA European Championships and the Copa America, which is the South American Championships. We'll start with the Euros. Obviously, it's a little bit bigger, a little bit more well-known. People watch it a little bit more. It's on ESPN. The biggest news – I hate you. The biggest news coming out of this has been on Saturday. One of the Danish players, Christian Eriksen, collapsed on the field. He was actually dead for a full minute, they said. They revived him. He is back in hospital right now getting tests done. He is okay, thankfully. But a scary, scary scene. They said he went into cardiac arrest. And if they were at any other stadium in the area, that he would have died on the field because that was the only stadium set with the shocker, like the AEDs, I guess, that shock people. The CPR wasn't working, so they had to use that to shock him back to life. But thankfully, he's okay. But
that's pretty dumb, and they're not in every stadium.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Gino, what's happening with that?
I don't know. So, but thankfully, it was in that stadium. Denmark, they actually suspended the game. Denmark ended up losing the game because they started a little bit later. Finland won 1-0, which is probably the upset of the tournament so far. But again, certain circumstances played into that. Italy started off great, which is great for us. 3-0 win over Turkey. But the big guys to watch out for, basically the big guys you see at every tournament. Italy, Belgium, England, and Croatia had a pretty good match, but England looks like they're a little bit better. And then today we get France and Germany facing off against each other in the same group as Portugal and Hungary are. That's basically what they call the group of death. Bulgaria is not in it, but they tied France in a friendly before this, which is really good because France won the last World Cup. So good on Bulgaria.
So you guys are growing.
It was an exhibition game. Don't think anything of it, all right, dude. It was a
USA. How about team? Are they in it or no?
Yeah, when you said Italy is
the Italian team.
Yeah, when you said Italy is started off well, which is good for us, do you mean us as Americans or us as Italians?
No, us as Italians. The Italian people.
Oh okay.
Italians. No, very good for us Italians.
Okay.
But yeah, so also in the in the Czech Republic Scotland game, there was a goal from about 54 yards out by Patrick Schick, which is the longest goal in a men's tournament game. I believe the longest goal in a major women's tournaments game was actually by the United States' Carly Lloyd in the World Cup final against Japan, I think about 6 years ago. So
how far out was it?
So it passed the half line. He was a little in front of that half line. I'm not sure how far it was, but
dude, how big the goal is? Anyone could do that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Also, Spain and Sweden tied yesterday. That's probably one of the bigger upsets as well. Spain dominated the game, but Sweden held them. So big for them. I would say my favorites for the tournament, probably France. Italy has looked really good. Their path to the tournament final could be easier than most. So look out for Italy. Kind of didn't get much respect before the tournament, but should get some respect here. And then in the Copa America, that's just started off recently. It started off, I think, on Sunday. And obviously Brazil, Argentina, the South American teams. Brazil get a win. Argentina get a point against Chile after winning early in the game. Lionel Messi with a goal. Paraguay currently leads that group, but Uruguay has not started playing yet. So Copa America is a lot more fun because it's a lot more physical. A lot more craziness, red cards, slide tackles, penalty kicks. So it's got it all in Copa America. You're going to get a more technical game in the European Championships, but both fun to watch. Again, ESPN is carrying the European Championships, and Copa America is carried by FS1. So if you want to watch those, Copa America is typically taking place around 5 and 8 o'clock at night. The European Championships are taking place 9, noon, and 3 p.m. to start off the tournament. Today we got games at noon and 3 p.m. And of course, France, Germany is is the big one at 3 p.m. So I'll keep you updated as much as I'm on with what's happening. But that is our soccer talk.
Cool, dude.
Wow.
Very good.
Very
stuff,
insightful,
you know?
actually, for once.
And
Yeah,
I
nice
hope
and
that
tight.
the USA can qualify for the World Cup. Honestly,
Yeah, finally.
That always,
Yeah.
makes.
Hey, we big win against Mexico, so we're moving in the right direction. Moving in the right
Okay. All right.
It's not
Like to
Mexico.
see it because I feel like the buzz died down after Tim Howard. A couple years
Yeah.
ago, we got
Oh, dude.
that special letter from the Department of Defense for all of his stops.
Yeah.
That, but
Well, he
was
had
fun.
he had the most saves in that game out of any goalkeeper in a World Cup game in a single game. So he was phenomenal in that World Cup. We did really well, and then we missed the World Cup. But the hype is back because we have a new generation, all new players, all young players that are they call it the golden generation. So the hype is back. We just beat Mexico in a crazy game, so won our first major tournament under this new generation. So we're moving in the right direction.
The Golden Boys.
The
Love to
Golden
see it,
Boys.
and I
Sounds
have
like
to
a boy
say,
band.
right?
Soccer isn't my specialty, but U.S. in the World Cup, I'm getting into it. Honestly,
Oh, yeah.
I want to see the Cinderella story, the
I
big
know.
run. I know we're lagging behind all these
Right.
other countries. So.
Yeah.
And the
I
Yankees
like to
just
see
aren't doing it for you, dude. I get it.
No. The Yankees are going to turn around, and I think it's going to be a good rest of the day.
Yeah, no, I think so. It's gonna be a great day, dude. You kidding me? How could it not be?
Exactly. Anything else we got from anyone?
Nothing from me.
I mean, I guess not.
I got an interesting frame up there.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's actually the perfect time to close.
It is,
Time to
but
close,
of
dude.
course,
Oh, there we go.
of course, thank you all for joining us. Keep commenting, keep subscribing, keep liking. We appreciate all the love and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.